join you today as we mark this year's International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies under the global theme, Racing for Air, Every Breath Matters. This day serves as a solemn reminder that the air we breathe, a resource so fundamental to life, is under threat from our very own activities as humans. Industrial emissions, vehicle exhaust fumes, open burning of waste, and unregulated urban growth continue to compromise our air quality in our cities, in our homes, and in our communities, especially in our Greater Accra region, and specifically Tema Metropolis. The consequences are dire. Increased respiratory illnesses, increased mortality, weakened ecosystems, increased healthcare burdens, and diminished productivities in our communities. As MMDAs, we stand at the forefront of environmental governance. Our mandate places us closest to the people, and with that comes a huge responsibility to enforce sanitation and waste management bylaws, to regulate local industries, to promote green and sustainable urban development, and to educate our citizens, especially our students and the youth, on how to adopt best practices on safeguarding the health of our very own environment. I am aware of efforts by organizations such as the People's Dialogue on Human Settlement, with support from the Clean Air Fund, to provide the critical empirical evidence on the level of air pollution in some of our communities. Their recent report shows that pollution, for instance, at Tema Newtown, the air quality has deteriorated by over 150% to about 800% per the statistics they've given. That is why it is important that as Tema Metropolitan Assembly, we take action. So we've come out with a sanitation first policy, which will ensure that we enforce our bylaws on cleaning our environments and making sure that there's proper collection and disposal of waste. We'll also be deploying hundreds of sweepers in our communities with bins to make sure of our ecosystem by absorbing water and creating safe haven for some of the flora and fauna. So, as I said, we are enforcing the law on protecting our Ramsar sites, which have been encroached upon by some recalcitrant members of our society. Demolitions, therefore, are the painful way to go as a result. But we must go further. The theme for today challenges us to accelerate our actions. So what can we do? I have three proposals. One, we must strengthen local regulations by strictly enforcing environmental bylaws to reduce open burning, regulate industrial emissions, mitigate vehicular emissions, and control dust pollution from construction and transport. We must prevent the illegality of siting industries in residential areas also. Point number two, we must be promoting sustainable urban development. This means expanding green belts, our green belts, tree planting campaigns, and eco-friendly transportation systems to restore the balance to our environment. One crucial intervention for us is to provide clean fish smoking ovens to our fishmongers along our fishing communities. Clean cooking, fishing, fish smoking ovens to the fishmongers in our fishing communities. Further, we shall also pilot the use of electric vehicle and electric vehicle buses for some of our transport and logistical needs. Our third point, and very importantly, we must raise public awareness and forge partnerships. We must educate our youth and our citizens, working with industries, schools, civil society, and faith-based groups to promote behavioral change for cleaner, healthier communities. Ladies and gentlemen, clean air is not a luxury. It is a human right and a public good. Protecting it requires collective action. On behalf of the Tema Metropolitan Assembly, I thank the organizers for this important platform and assure you of our full commitment to this worthy cause, working in partnership and in concert with relevant stakeholders like the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Environmental Protection Agency, our civil society groups, our very important traditional leaders, the youth groups, and all other relevant stakeholders. I thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dake. Before we continue, how many of us used electric vehicles when we're coming for this program? Please show by hand. So, it is something that we all have to look at. Okay, so we will move on to the next item. But before then, I would like to acknowledge some representatives here. So there's a representative from the Ministry of Energy. Are you here with us? Please show your hand, wave. And then the UNICEF country representative, Dr. Emmanuel Tremantin. Mr. Desmond Appiah, he is a Clean Air Fund focal person. I saw him. Yeah, okay, you are there, all right. Okay, so we'll continue. Friends online, can you hear me? Our friends online. Mr. Ebenezer, please notify us if they can hear us. They can, okay, thank you. So it is with great pleasure that I call upon Engineer Esi Nanane Kwetete, the acting Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Environmental Protection Authority in charge of technical services, to give us the opening remarks on behalf of our CEO, Professor Nanama Brown-Klutse. Let's give her a round of applause.
So, as indicated, I'm doing this on behalf of the Chief Executive Officer of the Environmental Protection Authority, Professor Nanama Brown-Klutse. The Honorable Deputy Minister for Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the representative for the Mayor of Tema Metropolitan Assembly, the focal person, Clean Air Fund, representative of the Ministry of Health, Dean of the MMCEs for the Greater Accra region, distinguished guests, the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure and a deep sense of responsibility that I deliver the opening remarks on this important occasion, marking this year's International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies. It is a day to renew our commitment to ensure clean air for all. In the year 2019, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution designating 7th September as the International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies. The resolution stresses the importance of and the urgent need to raise public awareness at all levels to promote and facilitate actions to improve air quality. This year's celebration falls on a weekend. In actual fact, it's supposed to be on the 7th of September. However, due to the urgent need to collectively align efforts to curb air pollution and ensure clean air for all, the authority has chosen to commemorate the occasion today, the 5th of distinguished guests. Air pollution has been identified as one of the environmental health risks of our time. Air, which is the very resource that we need for our survival, is now becoming a health risk as indicated by available statistics. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, 99% of the world's population live in places with unhealthy levels of particulate matter with aerodynamic diameter of 2.5 micrometers. That is what we call PM 2.5. While 34% live in areas that exceed even the least stringent WHO interim air quality targets. PM 2.5 are very tiny particles that can remain in the lungs, your body's lungs, and the bloodstream due to their tiny nature, and can cause conditions such as stroke, heart disease, lung cancer, and acute respiratory infections. The WHO has also indicated that populations such as ours from low and middle income countries are exposed to between 1.3 to 4 times higher levels of ambient particulate matter. In the case of Ghana, the State of the Global Air Report, what we call the SOGA report, for 2024, they rank outdoor particulate matter as the 3rd leading risk factor and household air pollution as the 1st for deaths. Again, the SOGA report states that air pollution is among the top 5 risk factors for death in Ghana and accounts for nearly 12% of all deaths in Ghana in 2021. These statistics, as you bear with me, are indeed worrying. And if nothing is done to reverse it, the situation may get worse. It is therefore in the right direction that the United Nations General Assembly formally declared access to clean, healthy, and sustainable environment a fundamental human right. Ladies and gentlemen, for every citizen, the authority recognizing clean air as a fundamental right for every citizen and a crucial element in the fight against climate change, has promoted a number of interventions that includes the following. The first intervention is the implementation of the environmental assessment regulations, under which all companies are required to institute appropriate preventive and corrective measures, including the installation of pollution control systems to reduce impacts of their operations on the environment. They are also required to monitor air emissions, some on a monthly basis, some on a quarterly basis, even some on a weekly basis, to ensure that they meet the requirements. The second point is the introduction of the Ghana Online Continuous Emissions Monitoring System, what we call GOSEMS. This is to further strengthen the monitoring requirements of undertakings. This requires that all companies will mount real-time monitoring system for which they will see the levels of air pollution at the time that is generated, and the EPA also sees the same thing at the same time, so that we are able to deal with the pollution as it happens, instead of waiting for the episode to pass and then you have to do something about it. The third thing that we have done is the development of the air quality standards in collaboration with the Ghana Standards Authority and other stakeholders. The standard defines the maximum permissible levels and test methods for measurements of parameters for both industrial and vehicular emissions. We also continue to create awareness on the dangers of air pollution and the need to ensure clean air for all. The authority has also developed the Air Quality Management Plan, what we call the AQMP, for the Greater Accra region, with other stakeholders. And this plan aims at using a coordinated multi-sectorial approach to promote actions to address major sources of air pollution, including transport, industry, waste management, among others. The reason is to improve the air quality in the Greater Accra region. Then we have also established the air quality monitoring networks in Accra, Takoradi, Kumasi, Tema, and Temale to provide data on the state of air quality in these cities. Let me also inform you that early this year, the authority, with funding support from the Energy Institute of Chicago Air Quality Fund, establish a monitoring network in Tema consisting of 7 low-cost sensors with 1 reference grade monitor to be added by the end of the year. This will provide real-time data to track pollution levels in Tema to inform decision making. We wish to appeal to other institutions and stakeholders to support this initiative to extend the network to Intema, to the main harbor, and also to the industrial enclave. Let me say at this point that I am very glad to inform or to announce to you that the long-awaited air quality management regulation has been passed into law by Parliament and will soon be available for implementation. This will, among others, promote air quality management and facilitate enforcement of the standards. Distinguished guests, as we join the international community to celebrate the International Day for Clean Air for Blue Skies under the theme Raising for Air, with emphasis on the need for immediate and decisive action to improve air quality, let us note that the time to accelerate solutions and collective action to deliver clean air for all is now. We cannot underscore the importance of air quality data in our quest to fight air pollution. We therefore appreciate individuals and groups who have invested in air quality monitoring across the country. I also wish to bring to your attention that the new air quality regulations, among others, require the development of an air quality information management system. We will, however, rely on all actors to provide the needed information and support to make this a reality in our country. We are racing against time for clean air, and I believe you all know that. We are racing for solutions, racing for survival, for the entire join the race to accelerate solutions to secure air, clean air for all today and also for future generations. I thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Engineer. But when she mentioned air quality regulations have been passed, I was expecting some applause. So please, let's clap. Yes. Let's clap. At least we are accelerating, we are taking quick steps. I realize that racing for clean air, we should have even come in our workout gear. That will show how serious we are about the issue. As you know, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources is currently playing a dual role. So they are our caretaker ministry. And because of that, they have a lot on their agenda. So there's going to be a switch in the program. I'm going to call upon our Honorable Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Yusuf Sulemana, to give us the keynote address. Please give him a round of applause.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name has already been mentioned, but it's appropriate that I do self-introduction. So my name is Yusuf Sulemana. I'm the MP for Bole Bamboy in the Savannah region. That for me is very important. And when you are mentioning it, don't shorten it by saying MP for Bole. I won't take it. It must be Bole Bamboy. This morning, I stand in the footprints of my minister, the Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, who is also in an acting capacity as the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. He should have been here himself, but as I speak to you, he is transiting back home from Australia, where he had to attend an international program. So I'm here this morning to read his speech. So I start. The representative of Mayor for Tema Municipal Assembly, representative of the Minister for Energy and Green Transition who is here. We also have the focal person, Clean Air Fund, representative of the Ministry of Health, Dean of MMCs, Greater Accra Region. Of course, we have our revered chiefs who are here, Nime, Name. I just saw that they came in. Distinguished guests, our friends in the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. I deem it a profound honor to deliver the keynote address on this special, auspicious occasion of the International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies. The day was instituted by the United Nations General Assembly, not merely for commemoration, but also as a call to action to promote clean air for the survival and well-being of humanity. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government of Ghana, I wish to commend the UN for establishing this International Day, which draws attention to air pollution, its impacts on our planet, economies, and public health, and also the need for urgent solutions to address the issues caused by air pollution. We are all aware that air is a crucial resource for the survival of the entire ecosystem. However, our current actions are impacting on the quality of air that sustains our very existence, and the reality is so evident. The desire for wealth and better living conditions are driving industrialization, urbanization, increased vehicle fleets, unsustainable waste management practices, among others, with its attendant impact on public health and the environment. To make matters worse, climate change has also been identified to impact on air quality by increasing dust generation from prolonged droughts, while some air pollutants are known to exacerbate climate change. It is important to note that air pollution is not merely an environmental concern. It is a pressing public health crisis, a threat to our climate, and a barrier to the sustainability of our ecosystem or our economic development progress. Thus, the pursuit of clean air is also a pursuit for justice, livable future, and indeed a fundamental human right. So we don't have to see this pursuit as an issue of only for economic development, but we have to see it as an issue of justice and other related matters. The state of the global air report 2024 indicates that air pollution has become the second leading risk factor for death, both in terms of total global population as well as in children under 5 years old. The air pollution caused around 8.1 million premature deaths globally in 2021, and over 90%, i.e., 7.8 million people of the deaths are attributed to air pollution from what we call the particulate matter in the air, from ambient and households pollutions, air pollutions. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ghanaian context is not different and should not be taken for granted. Monitoring results from the EPA's monitoring locations show high levels of particulates above the national standards, especially for the roadside monitoring locations. A WHO 2020 report estimated that more than 28,000 people in Ghana die from exposure to air pollution every year. And I think this should be a cause of concern. This number is projected to increase if no action is taken to tackle this issue. So you and I have a responsibility to ensure that some actions are taken to reverse this trend. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there is enough factual evidence that air pollution is a major contributor to a number of health issues. The Air Quality Life Index 2025, the annual updates report identify pollution from particulate matter as the greatest external threat to human life expectancy in 2023. Particulate matter is linked to increased risk to non-communicable diseases like heart disease, stroke, diabetes, lung cancer, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, respiratory disease, and cataract, as well as respective of the exposure period. The World Bank Country Environmental Analysis report for Ghana also estimated the economic cost associated with air pollution as $2.5 billion US dollars, or an equivalent of 4.2% of the 2017 domestic product. With the cause of air pollution to Ghana, air pollution to Ghana's two largest cities, and that is Kumasi and Accra, estimated at $264 million US dollars per annum. So you see the impact of it even in terms of finance. Ladies and gentlemen, the good news is that although the threats posed by air pollution continue to mount and compounded by climate change, it is possible to reverse the trend. Indeed, this is good news. In some countries, policies and improved technologies introduced have yielded some results, proving that pollution is not inevitable byproduct of economic development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you would agree with me that the data is critical in tracking the impact of our operations on the environment and devise appropriate interventions to tackle air pollution. It is also important, it is also needed for people to take information decisions to protect themselves. According to World Health Organization, Air Quality Database 2022, 40% of countries have no ground-level particulate matter monitors to assess the quality of air. This leads to critical information gaps and unexploited opportunities to mitigate air pollution as cities grow. The time to bridge the information gap is now. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this year's theme, Racing for Air, emphasizes the need to accelerate solution and collective action to deliver clean air for all. The challenge of air pollution is a collective one, and so too must be the solution. Therefore, the solution is not with the government alone. Hence, we all need to take action as we race to ensure clean air for all. Every effort from us counts, and we implore all stakeholders to join hands in the fight against air pollution. The government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology and the EPA, as well as other sector ministries, are committed to partnering with all stakeholders to, one, expand the air quality monitoring networks in the country to monitor and gather relevant data for studies, policy formulation, effective planning, and for public sensitization or sensation. To introduce real-time monitoring to enable quick response to pollution episodes. 3, promote best practices like circular economy and cleaner technologies in all sectors of our economy, but with emphasis on the waste management, transport, and industrial sectors. Another point is to enforce laws and regulations on the various sectors that energize air pollution and degrade air quality. And we also promote stronger advocacy and awareness creation to stimulate attitudinal changes among the populace to promote clean or cleaner air. Again, to promote the use of cleaner energy, fuels, and improve cook stoves. Also work with district assemblies to reduce open burning. And finally, work with stakeholders to ensure pavement of roads. Ladies and gentlemen, the decisions we take today will determine the quality of life for the present and future generations. Let us take the opportunity today to celebrate our progress, reflect on our actions, identify our shortcomings, and renew our commitment to the fight against air pollution and stay on course for the clean air, a cause that is fundamental to health and well-being of the entire ecosystem. Investing in clean air today may seem expensive, but the consequences of our inaction will be more dear. Let us together race for a clean air. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we join the global community to observing the International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies, let us use this day not only for reflection, but for renewed action. Let us make sustainable choices, encourage best practices, stop open burning of materials, maintain our vehicles, grass and paved surfaces, what have you. Let us work together across sectors and borders to ensure that clean air is a reality for us and future generations. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express my deep appreciation to our international and local partners, stakeholders, academia, and civil society organizations who have dedicated efforts in this critical endeavor. The sky is one, the air is one, our responsibility is one. Together for clean air, together for blue skies, together for our shared future, raising for air, every breath matters. Thank you for your attention.
As I said, because he's wearing a double hat, and so he's going to do the launch for us before he asks permission to leave. So we are privileged to have our Honorable Deputy Minister, MP for Bole Bamboi, do the launch for us. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Now this is the time to launch the Air Quality Monitoring Network. Air quality data is needed to help manage pollution and also for individuals to take the necessary precautions to protect themselves against air pollution. The Tema Air Quality Monitoring Network, with support from the Energy Institute of Chicago Air Quality Fund, is made up of 7 low-cost sensors, and these are already installed, and 1 reference grade monitor to be installed later in the year. A dashboard has been developed to give the general public access to the data from the monitoring devices in real time to enable them take informed decisions. The dashboard is to, among others, displays the AQIS and the concentrations of the particulate matter on air and on daily basis. So this is the air quality monitor network. And so on behalf of the government of Ghana, on behalf of the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, and for that matter, on behalf of the Environmental Protection Agency, I this morning want to officially launch this air quality monitoring network. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you so much, Honorable Deputy Minister, MP for Bole Bamboy. Please be upstanding whilst he takes his leave, please. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, kindly be seated and let's watch a short video. Thank you very much. So what you saw on the screen is a dashboard for accessing environmental air quality data and information. But the head of environmental policy will take us through. I just wanted you to feel how the dashboard looks like, at least the interface. So that is it, and that is what the Honorable Minister launched. Thank you very much. So now we will call on the focal person for the Clean Air Fund. The focal person for the Clean Air Fund, Mr. Desmond Appiah, to give us a short message. Let's give him a round of applause. Mr. Desmond Appiah. Let's move the podium back, please.
Thank you very much, Madam, and good morning to everyone. I would like to stand on all existing protocols so that I can use my time a bit more efficiently. A Clean Air Fund is a global organization with a singular focus of working with partners, governments, academia, researchers, and communities to act on ensuring we promote clean air for all. We have a very strong interest in the angle because even though poor air quality affects all of us, the impacts are a lot more dire on some segments of our society. And we've been in Ghana for since 2022. And I would like to use this occasion to thank the EPA leadership and the technocrats for the support that they've, the collaboration, the level of collaboration that we've enjoyed to work on this very important topic. A lot of references were made to the impact of air pollution, the number of deaths. Yesterday, WHO held a webinar and they were talking about the impacts of air pollution on the human being. And if the pollution gets into your bloodstream, it means blood goes to every part of your body, even unborn fetuses. And it means that the pollution can begin to impact every organ of your body. And there's enough research. That one, we don't have to do it in Ghana to be able to say that this is the situation. There's enough research to prove that this is the case. I also like to appreciate the collaboration that a number of local assemblies that we've been working with have been given. We are working on looking at the bylaws in a number of districts, and we thank EPA for the guide. The reason why I was mentioning EPA quite a bit is that if we look at the sub-region, the West African sub-region, Ghana's EPA and the governments of Ghana have done quite a lot. We don't have lead in our fuel. When ECOWAS agreed that sulfur should be reduced in the fuels, Ghana did it in 2017. That sulfur level should be 50 or so parts per million. Our brothers from Nigeria, they still have 1,000 parts per million of sulfur in locally refined diesel fuel. And we see the trucks that come from across the West Africa sub-region, especially for our friends in Tema. And when you follow the tracks, look at the level of air pollution that we are seeing. And so this network that has been launched in Tema, our industrial city, is extremely important and necessary for us to gather the right information to inform decision. And you collect the data, and if there's no action to correspond, it becomes a challenge. When Madam asked the question about how many of us came by electric vehicles, we didn't get any hand up. I was hoping she would ask how many of us came by train. Because one of the ways of improving the quality of air is the use of mass transit systems. And everywhere I have the opportunity to talk, I ask about the expansion of the motorway, which is necessary, and other roads, necessary. But what would have happened if we added some mass transit system in addition to the expansion, so that it is not just a matter of opening up the roads for more cars, because 40% of our pollution, air pollution, is coming from transport. And so we hope the launch of this network, the data that is being gathered, the analysis and its impact on policy would help us to be able to review the policies that we are pushing, so that we can look at the alternatives which will bring the development, but not the negative aspects of the development. Because if the trains are working well, a lot of us would have just jumped on a train to come to this place and not burn any fossil fuel. So that the work that is being done, we can feel it. Because despite the efforts, a few I've mentioned, and EPA deputy also mentioned some of them, our pollution levels are still going up. It means there's a lot more that we need to be doing. And we should not be tickling ourselves and be smiling. There's a lot more targeted, specific things that we can be doing. Our local assemblies, we hope that the enforcement that the data is pushing, the rep of the mayor talked about the levels of the pollution that they are seeing in Tema. We hope that they push the enforcement. The regulations that have been passed by Parliament after a lot of struggle, we hope that that becomes a basis to push the enforcement. Our Nime, Name, we hope that you lead the charge to get things going in the environment. I would end on two government policies that have just recently come into force. The first is on the establishment of the Ghana Medical Care, Mahama Cares, we call it. Its focus is on non-communicable diseases. And the target is to have 3 billion Ghana cedis in the fund. Now, if we are pushing more money into dealing with a consequence, because when we get a non-communicable disease, it means we've had the pollution, we've suffered it. So is it not possible for us to review some of those things and rather target the source of the problem? Because the World Bank is reporting that we are losing $2.5 billion, not Ghana cedis, $1 billion a year due to air pollution in Ghana. The whole world is losing about 6% of its GDP due to air pollution. More children in Africa and Asia, over 1 million children are dying from air pollution. Just because children, they are shorter, they breathe faster than us, so they take in more pollution. So we just are pushing that we take another look at some of these. And then the second one, I think it was just 2 days ago, that the local government minister announced the issue of sanitation. I was extremely excited because, again, in Accra alone, over 40% of our air pollution is coming from waste. And what is it about the waste? Because we are burning a lot more. And in Temakpong area, you even have a landfill. Every now and again, fire comes there, and then it's polluting the other areas. And I was happy because it talked about cleaning. The only part that I was not excited about was that it was focused on open areas. Maybe, I hope it is a start. But as we push further, and I think the local government becomes a lot more involved in this, is the targeting of why households are burning. Why would a household with a good waste management system burn? So please, our representative of the mayor, if Tema alone becomes a model, and in Tema you have well-planned communities, largely, if it becomes a model where the waste collection is improved, working with our chiefs and all, where the households are registered, and the collectors work to get it going, then all these things would help to augment the efforts of EPA, in that we are not just leading in the West Africa sub-region because our systems look and our laws look good, but also because the pollution levels have reduced and we are feeling it in terms of the improved public health data. And I hope that as we continue, we push for a clean air policy, because we have a lot of laws scattered, but we have a policy which will guide all of us. so we make a headway. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. Clean Air Fund. He has spoken a lot, said a lot. I mean, it's amazing. 40% of air pollution is coming from the transport sector. It means we have to start walking or use our bicycles. Yeah, because I mean, apart from the trains, our bicycles too can be used. And you said 1 million children are dying. That's frightening. Anyway, so thank you so much, Clean Air Fund, Desmond. We will now call on the representative from the Dean of the MMDCEs in the Greater Accra region, Mr. Francis Akanu, to give us a message.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm reading this speech on behalf of Honorable Desmond John Sowa Nai, the Dean of MMDCs in Greater Accra. I stand on all existing protocols. It is an honor to join you at this important debate to mark the International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies 2023 on behalf of the MMDCs, Chief Executives in the Greater Accra region. I wish to express gratitude to the Environmental Protection Agency for convening us under this year's global theme, Racing for Air, Every Breath Matters. Colleagues, every breath we take is a gift, but today, that very gift is under threat. Air pollution has become one of the most salient yet deadly killers of our time. According to the World Health Organization, air pollution claims about 7 million lives globally each year, with children, the elderly, the vulnerable, pollutions paying the heaviest price. In Ghana, the cost of air pollution through healthcare, loss of productivity, and environmental damage is staggering and unsustainable. For us in the MMDAs, this is not an abstract issue. We see to its reality every day. Congested traffic spewing fumes into our air. Where we sit at GANWEST, Honorable Desmond Sowadai is the MCE of GANWEST. I'm sure you know of the Ofankor in Sawam Highway, the traffic there, the dust that it pollutes. Look at the quantum of dust that it comes out every day. Look at the traffic congestion and the havoc it causes. This is a good example of a program that should help in that respect. This affects the lungs of our children, compromise public health, and weaken the resilience of our people. But ladies and gentlemen, this is not just a challenge. It is also a call to action. The theme for this year reminds us that time is of the essence. We cannot wait. We must act now. As local government representatives, we have a critical role to play. What are these roles we need to play? What are these roles these 29 MMDAs in Greater Accra needs to play? One, enforce bylaws on waste management and discourage indiscriminate burning. I stand on this to also thank on the EPA because I am a witness because they are helping us to draft and even publish and gazette our bylaws back in GANWEST Municipal Assembly. Two, promote green spaces and tree planting to filter the air we breathe. When we talk about tree planting, this year alone, during the Green Ghana Day, Greater Accra was allocated about 840,000 seedlings to plant. Most of these plants, these seedlings, we planted around roadways, in school parks, and in most congested areas, all in an effort to do what? Increase the quality of air. Three, invest in cleaner transport systems and encourage non-motorized mobility within our towns. Like our other speakers said, let's encourage trains. I've not sat in once, but it's my dream that one day I should be able to sit in a train. to go to work. 4, we partner with civil society, schools, and traditional leaders to raise awareness and inspire behavioral change. Most importantly, we must champion policies that put people's health at the center of development planning. Clean air is not a privilege for a few, it is a fundamental right for all of us. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are racing against time, but we are not racing alone. If governments, businesses, communities, and individuals commit to this fight, we can secure clean air for present and future generations. Let me end with this thought. Our communities may survive without gold, oil, or timber, but they cannot survive without air. Every breath really matters. Every action counts. On this note, I reaffirm the commitment of MMDAs in the Greater Accra region to work in hand with the Environmental Protection Agency and all stakeholders to ensure that our skies are blue, our air is clean, and our people are healthy. Thank you, and assalamu alaikum.
Let's give him another round of applause. Thank you very much. Before we continue, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the president of the Tema Traditional Council, Ni Tete Atanga II. We are on your land. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Ni Late Abam the first. And last but not the least, Ni Ajay Tacha the first. Thank you so much for your presence. I mean, we couldn't have done this because we are on your land. So thank you so much. Good. We'll now call upon a representative from the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council, Mr. Phillips Angmote. He's the Environmental Health Officer and he's representing the Regional Coordinating Director. Please give him a round of applause.
Still standing on the existing protocols. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Phillips, as already introduced. I'm an environmental health officer with the Regional Environmental Health Office. I am here to stand on behalf of my boss, Madam Sybil Marie Boyson, the Regional Environmental Health Officer, who, under the directive of the Chief Director, has delegated me to represent her at this important ceremony. It is indeed a great honor to be part of this program organized by the Environmental Protection Agency on the theme, Racing for Air, Every Breath Matters. With your kind permission, I will now proceed to deliver the speech on her behalf. As we gather to celebrate Clean Air Ghana, Clean Air Day 2025, we acknowledge the critical importance of clean air for the health, well-being, and prosperity of our communities. Air pollution poses a significant threat to our environment, public health, and economic development. Disproportionately affecting vulnerable populations, including children, the elderly, and those with pre-existing health conditions. The Regional Coordinating Council is committed to improving air quality and promoting sustainable development in our region. We recognize that clean air is essential for ensuring the health and productivity of our citizens, protecting our environment, and fostering economic growth. On this Clean Air Day, as we connect with the global theme, which is racing for air, every breath matters. We call upon governments, MMDAs in Greater Accra region, businesses, civil society, and individuals to join forces in taking actions to reduce air pollution and promote clean air. We urge policymakers to develop and implement effective policies and regulations to reduce emissions, increase investment in clean technologies, and promote sustainable transportation. We also recognize the importance of public awareness and education in driving behavior change and promoting clean air practices. We encourage individuals to take personal responsibility for reducing their own air pollution footprint by making informed choice about transportation, energy use, and waste management. The Regional Quality Council is committed to working with stakeholders across the region to develop and implement effective strategy for improving air quality. We will continue to support initiatives that promote clean energy, sustainable transportation, and green infrastructure, and work to ensure that clean air is a priority in all our development plans. Let us seize this opportunity to commit to protecting the air we breathe and ensuring the healthier, more sustainable future for all. Together, we can make a difference and create a greener, cleaner, and healthier environment for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Angmote. Clean air matters, and we need to run swiftly to develop the solutions so that we'll all breathe in clean air. Before we continue, I would like to take this opportunity to inform and remind our stakeholders that the agency has transitioned to an authority by an Act of Parliament, Act 1124, since January. So we are now an authority and not an agency. Thank you very much. Next on the program is a poetry recital by Clevester the poet. Clevester, our young lady, let's give her a round of applause as she comes to give us a poem recital on air quality. Clevester.
Good morning once again. I am Clevester the poet, the second runner-up for season 13 TV3 Talented Kids, and also an advocacy for tourism in Ghana. And this is my poem for you about energy. The air we breathe, a gift so fine. Ampa, iya oduman kumaninsa nejuma. Aya nwanwa. Ashisino, obo azinyinara fefel, no crojin. Clear and clean air and skies, a treasure so divine. But no, it is tainted and polluted. And the situation metamorphosed into a threat to life beyond compare. Vehicles emit and industries pollute the environment with their toxic fumes. Fossil fuels burning, open burning, and the use of biomass in cooking pollutions brew. Iwim ayekumo. Na inflammable zi efrusi ni enhruzi wahen endamba akwanyabemu.